Hi, this is Julia Widdop with Talk Story TV, and we have with us this morning the author of the hugely successful in ebook form, The Real Meaning of 2012, Heaven on Earth. And Marilyn has just brought this book out in paperback now, so for those of you who don't like reading ebooks, which I'm one, you can now order it in paperback. So let's tell our people who don't like ebooks what your book is about, Marilyn.
Well, the book is really an important book to explain the energy of the planet has changed so we can reduce the influence of the ego on our lives, and we don't have to live in that struggle and misery anymore. We don't have to be victims and react to the fearful energy. We can actually transform it and change it into loving energy, which supplies a lot of love and grace into our lives that we've been missing and looking for, and actually can help us bring peace on earth.
Okay. And did that happen at 2012? What was 2012?
Well, there actually was an energy shift in the universe. Up until the last several thousand years, we have had less light coming to the planet, which kept us in darkness. And that was physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We've been unawake, so to speak, because the darkness, you have to turn on the light to see. And so the darkness has kept us unaware and in a state of, you might call, ignorance and fear, which has been perpetuated on purpose by some particular factions. And at 2012, when the planet actually was dying at one point, the planet is a sentient being, and it called out for help. And so at that point, the universe contributed more light to planet Earth. And through a long, continuous process of the last 70 years, and especially the last 20 years, on 2012, December 21st, the energy shifted to more light coming to planet than ever has before, to bring it up into a higher consciousness of love. So we can outgrow that old darkness in our lives. We can let it disappear into the light, and we can raise our consciousness into higher levels of love than we've been able to before. So the book explains the dynamics of that and how you can take responsibility and actually change your attitudes and your emotions. And so it explains that this is now available for the first time in history. This is a real historical event that has never happened before. Some people might be aware that in the days of Atlantis, they were trying to do this very thing, and of course things became a disaster and all blew up. So this is our second chance, you might say, to do the same thing all over, to start, we had to almost start from scratch and bring the consciousness back up into the and we're actually moving into the 1,000 years of peace, which is going to be the love unconditional in our lives.
Well, it sounds like everyone around the world will start having their energy level come up.
Well, this actually is happening to everybody if they know it or not. Your spiritual forces around you have been working on you. Some people are very consciously working on raising their consciousness into a higher unconditional love. Some people call it Christ consciousness, God consciousness, grace, whatever you choose, the terms you use. It's still a higher vibration where we can open our hearts freely and safely and be secure and be vulnerable, which is actually the safest place to be, when you're surrounded and filled with love. So it's actually a wonderful opportunity that we're all encompassing, and I'm hoping to bring more people into awareness so that they can consciously work on this, not just have the invisible forces helping them, but they can actually help themselves.
And your book kind of tells people how to do that, right?
Well, it's a book that gives it's actually a precursor to my next book coming, which is Paradigm Busters Reveal the Real You. And in that book, hopefully we'll talk about it too. It'll have the step-by-step process. In this book, it's kind of an introductory of that it can happen, how it explains the dynamics of it. There's several charts in there to show you consciousness, that where we've been and where we can actually achieve in a higher consciousness of love and forgiveness and compassion, and that we can come into those higher states of better attitudes, where we're positive, where we actually see our life unfolding and producing better results than we've had before. We can come into community and harmony with each other, and hopefully, because if we're at peace, we won't need wars. It'll just be the outcome of our consciousness, which will perpetuate to those around us and gradually grow until the planet will become a planet of peace, and we will outgrow the wars, which is very immature and
Barbaric.
barbaric. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And so we're actually outgrowing that old state of mind, and I'm just real excited about it.
Yes, me too. That's been I kept thinking, how can our species be evolving and still be doing this? Which is be a can't be a survival characteristic to kill off your own species.
Well, some people, behind the scenes have been promoting that. However, with the light that's coming onto Earth now, their power is reducing and reducing considerably, so they are not having the effect they used to have. And that's why we won't have to stay in survival. We're going to be able to come into our birthright, which is abundance and prosperity and all the wonderful things that people pray for. The fear that's covered it up is going to be dispelled by the light, and we're actually going to get answers to our prayers. Our higher, better way of living in unselfish love will actually take effect, and little by little in our lives, as we open our hearts and employ it in our actions and our thinking, our words, and all parts of our lives with our relationships. Coming from a loving place, what's the most loving thing for you and for me, instead of being shut down in fear and trying to protect ourselves. We can finally expand our energy into growing, and when that happens, we feel good.
Okay, so this book will sort of tell you what it's about and why it needs to happen.
Right, so many people are unaware that we are energy systems and that our energy's been suppressed as far as the fear and depression and all the fear, guilt, and shame, and in the Bible they call it the 7 deadly sins. These things have been in the dark energy, lower energy of our system, and they have been prohibited from various ways of manifesting. Even medicines actually stop it from manifesting because drugs are poison and they're toxic in our systems. So we're cleansing out our systems in physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual ways to rise into that higher vibration. And my book is about raising the vibration into a higher consciousness, that it's possible, the earth is supporting it, the universe is supporting it, and as we grow and raise, actually the rest of the universe is growing and raising into higher loving ways also. So when we do it, we're the micro and the universe is the macro. It all works together.
Wow. Okay, I'm sure it will help when we quit putting fluoride in our water.
That is just one of the issues I address in my next book. Yes, those are the kinds of things that have prohibited this from happening sooner. And the people that behind that scene are being brought to tasks in various ways so that can no longer perpetuate. So we are going to be observing big changes in our environment. Laws are going to be changing to be more just and appropriate. Our relationships are going to improve. We're going to find that our environment produces more of our wishes and wants than what we've had in the past, because it's we've had our limited thinking process, and now we don't have to limit ourselves.
That's wonderful. Okay, well, could you tell us where we can get your book and maybe where we can get a hold of you, where the viewers might get a hold of you?
Well, the book's available on Amazon.com, and it's available on my website at angelicasgifts.com. And I have a blog, and I had
It's Marilyn Redmond dot blogspot.com.
Marilyn Redmond
Or is it,
Books.
yeah.
MarilynRedmondBooks.blogspot.com has my blog on it, which I'll be putting up showing my new book coming out just shortly, and this interview and some other interviews that I've been doing about the book. And so if you want to keep in touch with all of this, I also have other books on Amazon.com that are ebooks, and hopefully they'll actually get into paperback at some point. I have more books coming too, so I am a busy person.
Yes, you are. Okay, well, thank you for being with us today, and we're looking forward to interviewing you again for your next book.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It really has the step-by-step process of how people can take responsibility for their lives and actually become a mature person. And we don't have to react out of our victim and childish ways anymore. And so we can have that life we really always dreamed of. It's not a fantasy. We can make it come true.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a joy, and have a good day.